Hi, my name is Pastor Hal York, and welcome to Truth in the Trenches. Today we're going to be in Proverbs chapter 30, verses 11 to 14, where we read, "There is a generation that curses its father and does not bless its mother. There is a generation that is clean in its own eyes, yet is not washed from its filthiness. There is a generation, oh, how haughty are its eyes, and its eyelids are lifted up. There is a generation whose teeth are like swords, its fangs like knives, to devour the afflicted from the earth and the needy from among men." We've looked at this passage before, but it's one of those sections we would do well to consider from time to time. The writer here is not describing a generation from a specific time period in history, but four types of or groups of people that have been present to one degree or another since the book of Genesis and the fall in Genesis chapter 3 and consequently to our current day. And I think as we look at these four groups, the thing we would find in most periods of history is that these were not people who would have been, for the most part, admired or respected by the general population. But that may be the biggest or the most glaring difference in our day and age. Today, these are often the people who are admired, who our young people look up to, who are on talk shows and running for public offices and putting forth public policy and laws that govern our land. We are very cultured in our society today, so consequently these groups of people don't look bad at all. We've simply changed the target. It's the people who oppose them who are the bad guys these days. That first group is it says there is a generation that curses its father and does not bless its mother. Notice here it doesn't say that they just disobey them. No, they move past that. They curse them. They wish they were dead. The faster a culture can separate children from their parents, the faster society can and will change. We've seen this happen over and over in various governments from around the world, communist governments especially. They need to see the importance of indoctrinating children. If you want to change a society, you don't begin with the adults, you begin with the children. And we see this even going on today in our culture. We're seeing government telling parents what they can and cannot teach their children, and so on. The heroes in our culture today are these kinds of people. They're the people our children are watching. They attack the family, they attack authority, they attack parents. The lyrics in so many of the songs today and shows that people watch or portray parents as out of touch with reality, people who need the help of their children. And in so many homes today, it's the children who rear the parents. They decide where the family goes to church, how often they go to church, what they look for in a church, what clothes they will wear, where they will eat out, and on it goes. And if parents decide not to go along with the children's agenda, it can get pretty ugly. They reject the parents' values and ultimately reject the parents themselves. And in doing so, they have the support of their classmates at school. Our government is ready to come along and swoop them into its arms and say, "We will protect you and we'll take care of you. You need to be who you are. And don't let anybody else ever tell you anything different." And that's the culture we're living in. And leads to this next group. There's a generation that is clean in its own eyes, yet is not washed from its filthiness. Proverbs talks a lot about this person. There's a way that seems right unto a man, and that's my way. It's the right way. It's clean in his own eyes, and that's all that matters. I don't care what others think of me, but that's not the cry of a wise person. It's the cry of a fool. Clean, pure, justified, right. That is a bold proclamation, but the problem is it's only in their own eyes. They love themselves. They are blind to their own faults. They are not clean. They are not forgiven. They are deceived, deceiving themselves. They are enemies of God and will die in the sin they believing they are pure. We see these people dominate the news. They're pure in their own eyes. They are shameless. They have excuses for everything. Their problems are everyone else's fault. And they're proud. Verse 13 goes on to say, "Oh, how haughty are their eyes." Society must bow to their wishes or else. Again, look who in our society is being admired. These are the heroes of our society, the people who get all the attention, the protesters, the people who are violent, riots. They're the people we're bowing down to. But this last group is the scariest, and I think if we're to study these four groups, we see a progression. They curse father and mother, despise their instruction and reproof. Consequently, they're clean in their own eyes, conceited and self-centered. They're proud, their eyes are lifted up, and they're untouchable. No one's telling me how to live or what to do. And lastly, they become cruel and violent. It's like judges, everybody doing what is right in his own eyes. We've all heard the quote that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's what we see. When you cast away society, when you become a law unto your own self, you become a power unto your own self. You don't get more gentle and congeal. You become a very violent person because that is the nature of the flesh. There's a generation whose teeth are like swords and its fangs like knives to devour the afflicted from the earth and the needy from among men. These people are without compassion. They no longer desire to help the afflicted. They want them gone, to get rid of them. Whether it's the unborn child or the elderly, they need to go. They're draining our resources. They're inconveniencing our lives, and there's no natural affection anymore for parents or children. The mother and father they cursed in verse 11 are often the first to feel this animosity and lack of compassion. But remember, sin always leads to a place we never imagined we would go. We need to remember this as people. We also need to remember it as a society. We see the social persecution and cruel and often unspeakable atrocities taking place not only around the world but in our own countries. And this is where sin always leads. How did we get there? Sin. Sin always leads away from truth. It leads from light to darkness, to clear thinking to futility in our thinking, suppressing the truth, they become fools. And the only answer is the gospel of Jesus Christ, repentant, genuine faith, turning from sin to follow Christ and His Word. You will never read a more relevant, accurate book about the world we're living in than the Word of God. You will never read a more relevant, accurate book about who you are than the Word of God. Well, I'd like to thank all those who have been listening to this over the last few months. We started this last April 2020, and this is the end of June 2021. And I'm going to take a break for the summer, July and August months, and we'll resume September the 1st. And I'm looking forward to that. But I pray you'll continue to read Proverbs. It'll continue to be a blessing to you. And I trust you'll have a great summer with your family and friends and get to travel a bit now that things are opening up. But Lord bless, and we'll see you back at Truth in the Trenches on September the 1st. May these truths we've been studying over these many, many months continue to guide you and guard you in the trenches of life as we seek to live for the glory of God and the good of others. May God bless.